it's just going to be a tough road to hoe. And then the striped bass and all them, they're going to acclimate to their surroundings, because I've caught striped bass in 40 degree water, and I've caught them in 75 degree water. This fish lives in the salt, he lives in the fresh. When a striper is born, they're all born up here in the California Delta, most of them. Some of them up above on the sack. But a striped bass takes 1 year. In 1 year, it grows 12 inches, and then the next 2 years, it takes it 2 years to become an 18-incher. So striped bass stay in our river systems until they're 3 years old, and then they might go as far as Red Rock, and that's about it. You catch a lot of shakers at Red Rock and places like that, Petaluma River, but they don't like to go past Red Rock, because there's too many big creatures down there that'll eat them. So it takes 3 years for that striped bass. So I do think they'll acclimate. I got one more negative, and then I'm done. December 11th, Department of Fish and Wildlife will hold their commissioners meeting, their last one of the year. At that time, they will enact a bill to kill and eradicate all striped bass, black bass, crappie, bluegill, sunfish, and other non-native fish in the Delta. Okay? Just tell them Captain Mike told you first, because when I get my 60 seconds to speak, I'm just going to say, make sure you all got me down, because I need some of that welfare money when you guys put me out of business. I got all my logbooks for the last 13 years. I got all the documentation to show you all the money I was supposedly making, and you guys are going to owe me, because they're going to put everybody out of business. So get out and go fishing. Okay? They will pass something December 11th. If you want to go and give your 2 cents, you get 60 seconds to speak. Everybody can speak. Again, it's the Water Resources Building downtown, December 11th. Yes, sir.
What's the object in eradicating striped bass?
Okay, so damn, I wanted to take my sock off, and it's 6:30. The damn dude hadn't said one thing about fishing, huh, Matt? Okay, so striped bass, they kill all the salmon. The reason why we're not catching those salmon, because the striped bass ate them all. Okay, that's what. Okay, so the federal government got involved, and the federal government sued the Department of Fish and Wildlife and said, you will enact an eradication program, accreditation program by 2020. And I told everybody about this 10 years ago. When they passed it, 2020 was coming. 2020 was coming. Guess what, dude? It's 2019 right now. And in 3 more months, it's going to be 2020. So December 11th, they will pass it. It's all about the water. Yep. In high water years, we have fish. Everybody survives. Been together for 100 years here. So anyways, the good news is all the little fish I've been catching, we can catch and kill those ones now. Because we'll probably make it, limit 5, maybe 10, and probably be 12 to 15 inches or something like that. Some areas, the last time they tried to do this to us, they actually had what was called kill zones, and it was no bag limit, no size limit. Anyways, because everything's non-native, and that's how they did the vegetation, because that was all non-native. Back to the vegetation, there's a lot of growing stuff. Looks like ground cover now, where your hyacinth was, it's real bright green. That's called pennywort. That's the new Delta grass. That isn't native grass, so they're not going to do nothing to that. So there you go. Buy your expensive Phoenix striper rods now, people.
I take them to the East Coast.
Right. So anyways, December 11th. So, like I said, I'm gonna give my 2 cents and say, make sure you pay me, sucker. So let's talk. We talked about tides a little bit. Tides still do move. Again, today I was at Liberty. Quick turnaround on the tide. I literally went a mile and went from a slack tide to a good incoming tide. So the bigger the tide change. If it's a small weenie tide or a trickle tide, I call it, like we had last week, it's so darn small, it's only about a foot, and it doesn't even hardly move. You get that wind, headache. So, anywho, so right now in the fall, we drift live bait, mudsucker. So mudsuckers and bluegills. That's what we're doing right now. Is drifting mudsuckers and bluegills. So as far as the gear that we're running, and especially with the demise of the striped bass that they're going to be doing, and hopefully this looks halfway decent because I told my deck down to make it look that way. It's basically just a 3-way setup, just like you would for halibut in the bay. Phoenix feather rod, super fun rod. It's just a bass rod. So, you know, something you would take out bass fishing, super light. The reel, Daiwa with the power handle on there. A little bit of overkill, 27 pounds of drag. You can actually fish this rod for like yellowtail and stuff like that. Good lingcod rod and rock cod rod. Reel, I take this out and put it on some of my other big Phoenix stuff and fish rock cod with this reel. So pretty good reel. I mean, we just try to fish really good gear for you guys. But basically 30-pound test, 30-pound braid is what we run on all of our gear. The leader material, that's a 20-pound fluorocarbon. The only reason for the fluorocarbon, you guys, and especially when you're drifting your live bait, is that, and this is, you know, until a few years ago, we would just have you drop this thing on the bottom, you know, let it out, start at a 90 on the side of the boat, let this thing out till it hits the bottom. As soon as you see slack in your line, engage it, stick it in the rod holder, wait for the rod to fold over, pick it up and reel. They've been a little finicky the last couple of years. They have been a little bit finicky. So like today, I had 2 good bass fishermen on board, and so what I told them is that today during the day you're going to feel this. This is a pretty big. This is probably 1.5 ounces right here because the tide was moving pretty good by the time we finished the day. But when you're drifting this thing, it's going to be going tap 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 tap. So the good thing about having a rod and reel like this is that you can feel every little pebble, every little weed that gets on your line. It transmits right through the light rod and right to your hand and right to the braid. Again, with the fluorocarbon leader, fluorocarbon doesn't float like mono. It has no stretch like mono. So when these things hit and you're holding on to it, it's just going to set the hook that much better. So it sinks. Fluorocarbon was made for line shy fish, you know, like in the deep blue sea. So you cannot see this line. Not so much important with striped bass because they are not line shy. Most of the reels that we fish are yellow braid. That way you can see it in the water column better. This rod or this rod and reel has probably been in the salt. That's why it's kind of faded. But that's yellow Daiwa J braid, so 30 pound. There's a lot of braids out there, and all braids are not created equal. And I'm not just being a salesman for the Daiwa J braid because Phoenix would actually like me to be selling the Phoenix braid, but I didn't have very good luck with it and or a couple other competitors. I'm not going to badmouth them. But the Daiwa J braid has been working out pretty well for me. And then the fluorocarbons, all P-line. They make all kinds of different fluorocarbons. The one that I've had the best luck with is called a Halo. It's one of their older models, but it's easier to tie. When you start messing with fluorocarbon, it burns real easy. People use fluorocarbon in here, a few hands. You tie it, if you don't wet it or just pull the tag in, it burns super easy. So I would have to say that the Halo was a lot more user-friendly for me. What I do is I'll tie up this whole rig right here, and I didn't bring any, I apologize, but this is on a 3-way, and then I have a dropper, and then it has a little Duralock on here. This one's made by Owner. Again, a little more high dollar, but what you can realize if I have this around is that when you look at this snap swivel, there's no little sharp points on it. You know, like how some snap swivels have that little titty that pokes out, or a little nipple that pokes out, and it gets caught on your line and gets tangled a lot. So this little snap swivel has worked out really good. Again, my deckhand does not like it because they're hard to snap on and off. But the reason why we run this on here is because you're going to be changing weights a lot. So like my deckhand, dude, you can tell I'm mad at him right now. The sloth, I'm calling him the sloth today because he's going sloth mode on me today. You gotta change weights, man, because the current moves faster, it moves slower, it's weedy, it's mud, it's rocks, you know, and so he says I don't communicate with him enough because, you know, where are we going? Dude, I don't know where we're going. The wind's blowing 30 miles an hour. I'm trying to see what the tide's doing. I gotta see if there's any weeds there. Dude, I don't know where I'm going until I get there. So, but you guys, ounce and a half, probably 3/4, and you're probably good. Anything over it, maybe a 2, but anything over a 2-ounce weight, you're either too deep, tide's moving too fast, it's no bueno. If you need more than a 2 to touch bottom, it's no good. So up top here we have a Owner Coast Lock snap swivel. Got a little story for you guys on that. You know, you never really want to go cheap on your terminal tackle. I was fishing the Smith River with a late friend of mine, Mike Gibson, and he was rowing the boat, and me and my buddy Greg were fishing the front of the drift boat. And I go back there like this with my rod, you know, because he's baiting up all of our rods, so we would just go like this, you know, and he baited. He's all, Raver, where'd you get that snap swivel at? I'm like, dude, just bait my hook, man. He's all, dude, you're gonna lose a good fish on that, man. That's a piece of crap like Walmart, little brass one. Dude, don't ever put those kind of snap swivels on my boat, And I'm like, dude, just put it on mine. I lost about 27 pounds steelhead on the Smith River. Monster. Had it right to the boat, and I'm lifting. He's all lift. And it could have been a state record. I'm lifting. Boop. Thing opened wide open, man. So I learned my lesson about 25 years ago on that. So I get the good stuff. You done that before? You can't buy the cheap ones, man.
You lost a fish.
Right. So, and then another story I have for you is March 2nd, about, I don't know, it's been a while now, but I got a 55-pound striper up on the Casumas River. And so I had a good coast lock snap swivel. So you don't want any kind of failure anywhere down your line. You know what I mean? I don't know. Spend the extra money, because when you tie this this coast lock on your braid, if you get hung up on the bottom, like we tell our folks, when you get hung on the bottom, point your rod straight at it, because if you try to do the whippy, you're just going to break the rod, because it's only rated at 13 pounds. It's only 13, I think 7 to 12 pound rod. It's a bass rod. So you point it straight at it, just pull it straight back, and it's just either going to break the hook or it's going to break your leader material, and you're going to get your coast lock back 99 times out of 100. You'll get it back. So if you spend the extra money, you're still not going to use it. Okay. But again, important that you have this on the bottom so you can change your weight. The other thing is hooks. All hooks are not created equal. This is a mosquito hook. So I know there might be some Gami fans, some Gamakatsu fans in the crowd, but we use nothing but owner hooks on my boat, and this is called the owner mosquito hook, and this is a 1/0. So whether we're drifting jumbo minnows in the spring or drifting the small mud suckers, because we like to get the small mud suckers. That's my clients for tomorrow. I forgot they wanted me to come out to dinner with them tonight in Isleton. I forgot I was going to be here tonight, so I missed out on a free dinner tonight, so I'll be here with you guys. Owner mosquito hook. So it's a mosquito hook, so it's light wire. So when you put that bait on there, it doesn't weight your bait down. This is a 1/0. So we probably buy about 500 of these a season. These are a 1/0, and then we also run, I'll show you on my bluegill rod, a 3/0. So if you have, because when you guys go to the bait shop and get your mud suckers, they're just going to put them in your bucket. You can't go, I don't want that one, I don't want this one, I don't want that one. My mud sucker guy is the same mud sucker guy that delivers all the bait shops. So he gives me all the little small ones. Because for one, he knows I want the small ones. And for two, the bait shops don't want the small ones, they want the big ones. Because guys come in, they always want the big mud suckers. I want the little ones. I just want the little morsels. I just want you guys to stay busy out there. We're not looking for, a big monster every time. So yeah, 1/0 and then 3/0. That's a mosquito hook. And then last, bait loop. So you guys can Google that, or I can show you after my seminar, and I'll go ahead and pass this around so you guys can look at it. But it actually lets that hook swim around that little loop there. Okay? So, again, back to what I was talking about. Again, fish got finicky over the last couple years. They got smart. We will have, let's see, 1, 2. My deckhand will have two mudsucker rods going out the back with nobody holding them. And then we'll have one bluegill rod out the middle, nobody holding it, going out the back. We call that the community rod. And then each person in the boat will have a rod. So you can see how it can get kind of hectic sometimes. And if the fishing's good, then I'll put in a rod. So, and when it's not too weedy. But again, in between that tap, 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 there's a wrap. And that wrap's the bite. So you're either going to get the wrap, which is a bite, and if you're good and you're a bass fisherman, you can spoon feed it for a quick second and then hook set it. So like today we had a guy, by the end of the day I called him Skeet Grease, because I can hear him back there. You can hear him set the hook. And or so spoon feeding, tap, tap, wrap, or you'll feel it all of a sudden you're tap, 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 and then you don't feel it tapping anymore. And most of the time, people will be standing there with the rod in their hand, and next thing you know, Todd will be like, hey, you got a fish on? They're like, well, how do you know? And you're like, well, because your line's going in front of the hook. So they'll pick it up and they'll swim with it. So sometimes it's just a subtle pick up and swim with it. And again, that's just kind of like a reel down move. So that's basically the live bait thing. Again, when you're out there drifting with these weeds, if you got a big broomstick out there, you're not going to feel the weeds on there. So what I tell my people is, as soon as we get to an area, hopefully I don't start you out in dirty water, but I don't know. yesterday I started everybody out in dirty water, and it was just a nightmare, so that's why I ran the Liberty Day. But you want to fill with that tap, 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 because once you get weeds on there, it goes tap, 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 dead. And then you reel it up, and then you got all that witch's hair on there. So a lot of witch's hair. We always say Halloween. It's nothing new. The witch's hair has been around forever. There's just a lot more of it. Basically, a lot of times you're just going to have it up here on your hardware or on your weight. That's cool, as long as it's not on your bait. So best trick to get that off is when you reel up and you lift it up and you're like, oh yeah, I got this big old mess in the water, is to put all of this back in the water and then do it a shaky shaky. Then you pull it up and most of the stuff will be off. Then flip your bait to yourself and go ahead and put it on there. But if you fish with me, you just swing it to my deckhand. He cleans it off all day long. Oh man, nightmare, dude. I mean, we're only like a month into it. We got another, I don't know, 50 days in a row to go, 60 days in a row. I'm like, dude, you better get used to it. There's gonna be more tomorrow. So you just gotta make sure you keep your baits clean out there, okay? I will go ahead and pass this around, I guess.
What kind of depth are you?
What kind of depth? Yeah, please ask a question, you guys. Don't let me ramble. I've been alone in my houseboat with nothing but my dog and my deckhand, so I'm in the talking mood. You know, we fish anywhere from 6 feet to 50 feet, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty of drifting live bait too. You know, you're on the west bank. You're either shallow or the deep. You're either shallow or the deep, right? We can go anywhere. I like my fly guys. I got 2 fly guides that come out of my marina. And a lot of times we'll be fishing the mouth of Old River in the San Joaquin. Anybody knows where that's at? It's just up from Potato towards Stockton. And Bryce is all, dude, how do you guys fish that deep water out there? You guys had to be in what, 30 feet? I go, no, we were in 42 feet. He's all, well, how do you do that? I said, put a bigger weight on. Because they're fly fishermen. They go like 13 feet or less. They're like, you guys are killing me. A couple years ago, they were in the deep water. Right now, man, I'm still scratching my head. There's really no pattern going on where they're at right now. And again, there's still not a whole lot of fish in San Joaquin. I can't give up on it because I hate going to the Sac. I went over there once already, well twice today going to Liberty. I just don't care for it. There's always a lot of wind over there. But you know, Sandy Beach, you could do this kind of fishing. Red Barn, you could do this kind of fishing. The mouth of the Sac, you could do this kind of fishing. People are just gonna kind of look at you weird because they're all trollers, you know. So they love me when I come over there and sit down and drift bait in front of everybody because we kind of go slow. But yeah, so you know, just all over the water column. I will tell you my new trick, and some of you have already heard this. So the people have already heard this, you have to put up with it again. So usually what we do is we go out there, especially in the fall and winter, we look for terns. We look for the little birds that move all fast, got a black little mask. Those are good little bait finders, man. The striper pushed the bait up, and that's how they get to eat. So we always look for those guys. So a couple years ago, we were out in San Joaquin, and usually if it's an incoming tide, this is just basic, and then you can go from there. So incoming tide on the San Joaquin, you got the Santa Clara shoals, the San Andreas shoals. I don't care if you're coming out of Falls River going on the Frank's track. I don't care if you're at Liberty going into the island or off the island. Of course, if it's an incoming tide, you're going to start in the deep and go to the shallow. If it's an outgoing tide, you're going to go from the shallow to the deep. And most of these fish are going to be hanging in ambush points. So if you're coming off a slope, they're going to be waiting on the slope, right? And if you're going incoming, they're going to be up on top of the slope. That's just basic. That's where they should be. A couple years ago, man, every time incoming tide, we'd be up there, drift up on the flats, nothing. But I got a lot of time because I don't do nothing. I don't clean no weeds. I don't bait no rods. I got a lot of time to myself, just standing on the bow. Usually when you guys see me out there, I'm like this. I got 1 foot up like this. I got remote control, and I'm just looking at my fish finder. So I'm sitting out there one day, and there's no birds, but there's all these knucklehead birds. Are you looking for that spot?
I'm looking for the San Joaquin.
Oh, okay. It's 383 miles long. The headwaters comes through a 12-foot pipe now because of the Millerton Dam. They dammed off the San Joaquin and ran it dry. Ran all that shit down for cotton. That's how it started. Don't get me started on that. San Joaquin does not flow anymore, you guys. It only goes up and down. I had a guy on my boat from Millerton, and he lives at the headwaters of Millerton, and he was an older gentleman, and he remembers when they did that. He said they got a 12-foot diameter pipe. That's all that comes out of there now. And then the rest, they got 10% that can go spillover. The other 90% all goes to farmers. Okay, moving on. What was I talking about? Oh, so So Mr. Fong was out there and he's all, how's the striper bite, dude? And I'm like, it's good, man. I said, man, knucklehead birds, they're like in the deep water. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, even on the incoming tide, they're like in 42 feet of water. And he said, huh? He said, you've been out there